Okay. And then good. Right, this is. And just as a little icebreaker, if you guys want to open up the chat button, you can hit it by Alt and then the H plus H, or you can just click down at the bottom of Zoom. It says chat. If you want to just answer yes or no, I wanted to know if any of you have ever used a project management software. Okay, we've had a few people that have used some tools, some that have not, which is totally fine. That's why you're here today.
The community built a memorial in front of the dock.
And for those of you just joining, we were just doing a quick icebreaker. If you'll go down to the chat button in your Zoom video, if you'll just type yes or no if you've ever used a project management software, some type of tool. Okay, so we have a good bit of no's. All right, that's excellent. Hopefully you guys can learn something new and get started on a new system. Well, cool. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just as a reminder, if everybody will please just remain muted unless I call on you specifically or whatnot. If you do have questions throughout, please do pop it into that Zoom group chat, and you can direct it to everyone, or you can direct it just to me privately, and I'll try to answer those as we progress along. So cool. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen so everybody should be able to see this now. And we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so in today's Doing Business Remotely series, we're going to talk about project management tools. And I just always like to give a special shout out to the Vance Granville Community College's Small Business Center. Thank you guys so much for helping to organize this with me, and then also with the Warren County Economic Development Office. Stacy Woodhouse is the director there, and that's the name that I'm under right now. You'll see on Zoom, it's under Stacy, but my name is actually Kristen. So did want to introduce myself. I'm Kristen. I'm the one right here in the little snakeskin top, and this is my whole team. And we're a Tabletop Media Group, and I have our social media handle there. It's at Tabletop Media GP. I actually just posted an Instagram story for those of you who are on Instagram, so you can see what behind the scenes on the series looks like. And then you can also check us out on the web, tabletopmediagroup.com. And then I put our email that goes to everybody on the team. It's info@tabletopmediagroup.com. And don't worry about jotting that down right now, because you will get it at the end of the presentation. And just as a reminder, Sherry with the Vance Granville Community College's Small Business Center will send out the slides and also a recorded version of this webinar today. So you will have access to all of that if you want to reference things afterwards. So today's topic is all things project management. So we're going to go over what makes a great project management software, the pricing of some of these tools, and then we're going to talk about 3 of the tools today. We're going to briefly discuss Trello, also briefly discuss Teamwork, but then we're going to do a pretty deep dive into Basecamp. So I know that whenever you're registered, it says Basecamp and project management tools. So that's why we're going to dive pretty deep into Basecamp. It is the most popular project management tool that's out there, and it's something that we use for my small business, Tabletop Media Group. So we'll talk a lot about that, and I'll give you a behind the scenes look of how it works. So what makes a great project management software for small businesses? Well, number one is the price. I know that we're all pretty price conscious, especially right now. And so budget is always of concern for a small business. And these tools that we're referencing today all have free versions, which is wonderful. And then they also have some that are paid versions that are pretty affordable for your team, depending on the size. Another great aspect of project management software is that they have task management tools built in that have dates. So these are features that help you to manage tasks efficiently and add due dates to them. And then the third aspect is that you can collaborate with your team and or your clients. So successful projects obviously do not happen in a vortex. And so it's really important that you're actually able to collaborate with those people in your business and then maybe with other clients or partners outside of your team. And then also these project management tools, most of them have a mobile app. So I think that's really important for us. We're very mobile on the go, obviously not right now, but in the day to day of my business at Tabletop, we're always visiting. We work with a lot of restaurants. So we'll be out at a restaurant or managing an event or on a farm. And so we're always all over the place. And so it's really important that we're able to use our phone. So that way, you don't have to be sitting on your desktop to use these tools. So I know we mentioned briefly that all of these tools have some type of free element. So I did want to go over some of the pricing for the three tools that we're covering today. And I'm just going to make sure if everybody can just mute themselves real quick, just make sure that you're on mute, please. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Thank you. So pricing for Basecamp, which is the one that we'll talk about the most today, that one is totally free when you have 3 projects, up to 20 users, and 1 gigabyte of storage space. So they do give you quite a bit for free. So my company, we actually have the paid version just because we have way more than 3 projects going on at a time. But for somebody who's, small business, you might not have as many, like we have a lot of different clients. And so we have all of our clients organized by project, but maybe your company, perhaps you're updating your website. That could be a project that you put down there. So it's pretty affordable. The $99 a month, and you'll see that compared to some of the other ones. Because a lot of project management tools cost you per user. So it might be like $9 a month per user. And so that could, of course, increase price, especially if you have quite a few people on your team. And then Trello is the next tool. And so Trello is totally free. And you have unlimited personal boards. So just you personally. And then there's 10 team boards. And we'll get into what a board is and what it looks like in just a couple minutes. And then they also offer you 10 megabytes per file for an attachment. And so they are free for all of those aspects. But then if you upgrade, the business class is $9.99 per month annually. And that's per user as well. And then Teamwork is another tool that is also free. And the free version gives you 2 projects, maximum of 5 users. So that's quite a few less than something like a Basecamp or Trello. And then you have a very limited board view. And it also gives you subtasks. You get to have different kind of color themes. And it also has time tracking. So it's a pretty advanced tool. And then their pro version is $9 a month per user. And I'm going to stop my share real quick so I can make sure everybody is muted. Give me just 1 second. Let's see if we can mute everybody. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so now we're going to transition over to discussing what Trello is. So Trello is the first of the 3 project management tools that we'll discuss today. So I think Trello is really great for any business, no matter the size. It's best known for their cards. So these cards enable you to organize a project in a number of different ways. And then it's also a great tool to display project roadmaps. So say we go back to that example of maybe you're redoing your business's website. So it's really great to see all the different steps in your roadmap to completing that new website. And it's also great for simple organizational tasks. So maybe you organize it like to do, doing, or done, and you can organize it that way. And we'll show you what a Trello board looks like in the next slide. And then it's also multi-tiered pricing, so you only pay for what you need. So of course, it goes up per user, but it's really great, especially if you're quite a small business and you just want to test one of these systems out. So getting into kind of the meat and potatoes of it. So I know we've talked a lot about boards. So a Trello board has 4 main components, and you'll see it outlined here on the screen. So a board, which is represented with A right down at the bottom, it's what represents a project or a place to keep track of information. So example, launching a new website. So then B is your list. So this is your list right here. So your list keeps cards, which is C, organized in their various stages of progress. So a list can be used to create a workflow where cards are moved across lists from start to finish, or simply act as a place to keep track of your ideas and information. So once again, the board is right here. Things to get done is the title of it. So this is your large board. And then your list, B, is something like this: to do, or doing, or done. And then your cards are C. So the cards are used to represent tasks and ideas. So for instance, to do, I know I need to have a card. I have to call my mom and I have to return my shoes. So all your different cards are, i.e., your to-dos. So they represent those different tasks and ideas. The menu is D, which is on the right side of your Trello board. So the menu is essentially like your admin settings. So this is where you can go to invite different team members to have access to this board, so access to the things to get done board. And it also is your mission control center, I guess you could say. So you can change the background of different boards. Maybe you want all of your personal boards to be this blue color, but maybe you want all your team boards, like you're working on the new website, to be purple or whatnot. And then you can also add, different stickers to it and things like that. So that's just like briefly about Trello. Like I said, we're going to really dive into Basecamp, which is my personal favorite, in just a few minutes. So we'll go real in depth to that. But I just wanted to present some of the other ones and what they look like in case that's more your speed compared to Basecamp. So then the second tool that we'll discuss is called Teamwork. So teamwork is pretty cool. You can track and manage everything that goes into a project. That includes individual tasks, different calendars, and milestones, which I really like their milestones aspect. And it also enables you to send messages to coworkers. So I know some of you guys were on the G Suite presentation, and we talked about Google Meet and Google Hangouts, where you can like chat and also video call. So Teamwork has it built in, like the chat function, where you can talk back and forth to your coworkers, which is really cool. And then you can also track your time, which is something that the other two don't have. So especially if you're a company that's billing hourly, I would highly recommend checking out Teamwork, because you can actually track the time spent on different projects. And then another kind of interesting element is this system actually allows you to bill your clients. So it's a little bit more robust, but definitely a great tool that you can use. So we're going to go over a brief overview of Teamwork. Let's see, let me make sure you guys can hear my video. Okay, so you should be able to hear this.
We believe that project management is about more than just getting the work done. Teamwork Projects gives you the tools you need to deliver the results that matter. Reduce the complexity of collaboration. Make it easy for everyone to see what they're working on, who they're working with, and what comes next, whatever size your team is. Customize your workflow. Teamwork Projects gives you the flexibility to work the way you want, whatever your process. Manage your team with trust and transparency. Empower your team to work autonomously without losing sight of the big picture. Communicate to solve problems. Work together with greater clarity and context to solve problems effortlessly. Teamwork Projects has all the features you need to collaborate effectively, hit deadlines, and achieve the results that matter to your business. Sign up for your free 30-day trial today and start working together beautifully.
So that was just a quick overview of what Teamwork is, and I'll make sure that I have my computer sound off. Awesome. So that's just a brief overview. I just wanted you guys to watch that video. I thought it was pretty good. It kind of showcases the full platform. It's something that I personally have not used, but I do have some friends who own some larger businesses that do use Teamwork. So that might be a good fit for you. So we'll dive now into Basecamp. So Basecamp unites all of your stuff, I like to say, in one big system. And your home screen, which I'll pop over, this is the home screen on Basecamp. You have access to literally everything right here. It's clean and organized. So it lets you have a broad overview of what's happening across your company. And then from there, you can drill down to get a more detailed look into your projects, different teams, and communication. So Basecamp really does aim to make every project go much more smoother, and they have some awesome features that we're going to get into. So those features include to-do list, automatic check-ins, discussion boards, document sharing, and a whole lot more. And so I know that Melissa chatted asking what's the difference between something like Trello and Slack. So you guys have probably heard of Slack. So Slack brings your team together wherever you guys are. So it has a mobile app, and also on the computer you can use it. So basically Slack is more of a communications tool where you can chat back and forth with different teammates, but you can also upload files and things like that. We're going to talk about Slack actually in this series. So I did want to at least let you know, Melissa, that I saw your question on there, but we will be discussing that. And I think, I forget what day, I'll have to look it up at the end, but we will be discussing that. So just wanted to get that question answered for you. So back to Basecamp. So why I chose to highlight this one today is because it is the most popular of the project management tools out there. So 16 million people are users of Basecamp. It's used all across the world, and it still continues to bring in several thousand new signups every single week, which I think is really impressive. And I would love to see if there's a stat, especially due to the climate that we're living in right now with COVID-19, to see if more people have signed up for something like this, because it is such a great remote tool that you can use. So on Basecamp, there are three main places that you can share things. So the first one is company-wide. That's called your HQ. So that's number one. So for an example, I'm going to use Tabletop as an example. Tabletop Media Group is our HQ. That's the name of my company. That's the headquarters. And then you can have teams. So that's the second place to share things. So for us, we have different teams in our company. We do a lot of social media management for our clients. So we have a social media team, as an example. We also have a team of graphic designers, of videographers, of photographers. So we can organize those into different teams. And then you can have specific projects. So say, for instance, we're managing a restaurant's grand opening. So we just had one open a few months ago. And so for that project, I would obviously have to have my social media team on board, my public relations team. I would need a photographer there to take photos of the grand opening. I would need my videographer. So it's really cool because I can add all of these different members from teams to a project. So we'll watch a quick video from Basecamp so you can see what I'm talking about here. So let me share my computer audio.
Communication challenges come up at all levels of a company, from working on individual projects to coordinating across teams. That's why Basecamp gives you 3 different ways to group people together and stay on top of what's going on. There's the HQ, teams, and projects. I'm going to show you each of these 3 so you can know what they're for. First of all, there's the HQ. This is short for headquarters. We automatically set this up for you when you create your account. So if your company name was Acme, you'll see the Acme HQ here. We recommend you invite everybody in your company to the HQ. That way you'll have a place for things like company-wide announcements, or the benefits package, or changes in policy, or maybe a big event happening at the office. After that, we have the Teams section. Teams is the place for everybody in the company who has the same role. So everybody in support, or sales, or marketing, or operations. It's helpful for people who do the same job to have a place to coordinate together. For example, our marketing team can keep track of all the A/B tests that are going on. Or they can find the assets and copy that they need to put a campaign together. Finally, there's the project section. Projects are where people of different roles can come together to work on something. Whenever we work on a new feature here at Basecamp, we set up a project. Like here's the templates feature that we worked on recently. And then we pull in all the people that we need to do that project. So like designers and programmers, QA, and so on. This way, all these people who are working together can share tasks and communicate and basically work on the project from start to finish together. So you've got these 3 areas: HQ for the whole company, teams for people who have the same role, and projects for people who are doing some work together. This way, no matter what comes up in the business, you'll always be able to set up the right place with the right people so that they can stay aligned.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so I wanted to be sure to share that quick video because I think you did a fantastic job of really outlining the differences in those three things. So that's kind of the broad base of Basecamp. And then we'll really drill down now into each function. So Basecamp allows you to put everything in one place, which is why I love it so much, because I'm sure you guys feel it all the time where people might be emailing you a question about a task, they might be texting you about it, they might be calling you. Well, now you can put it all in one place on Basecamp, and you can literally chat back and forth with people. There's a bunch of really great functions that we'll discuss. So the 6 different tools that Basecamp offers, one is Campfire, the message board, to-dos, schedules, docs and files, and then automatic check-ins. So we're going to talk about Campfire first. So Campfire allows you to chat casually with the group, ask random questions, and share stuff. So I'm going to pull up what Campfire looks like. So say, for instance, for my example purposes, we're going to talk about Tabletop's blog project. So we have a project called Tabletop Talk. That's the name of our blog. So I would click on this. And here's the function called Campfire. So after I've added people who I want onto my Tabletop Talk blog project, I can then chat directly with them on Campfire. So Campfire, essentially, I can just, pop in a chat down here like, hey, everyone. And then I can, I'm just going to put testing by it. I can chat. And then everybody who is on this Tabletop Talk blog project will see that I've now put a chat in the Campfire. I can also chat to everybody, but tag specific people. So maybe I want to check in with one of my ladies on the team, Quinn. Quinn, how is the recent blog post coming? And I can chat with her, but then everybody will see that chat. So it's a fun function. It's kind of like, I compare it to the Google chat, which I'll pop back over to, where like I can talk back and forth right here with Quinn or somebody from my team. But this way, it's all organized into one platform now, which is Basecamp. So the message board is where you can post announcements, pitch your ideas, give progress updates, and keep feedback on topic. So I'm going to demonstrate how to use the message board to post a message to a team. So say, for instance, I want to let's go to the social media managers team. So my message board, this is the function right here. It's called message board. I would click open my team. So now we're under social media managers team, click on the message board, and I can pick my category very first. So say I want to pick a category. I'm going to make an announcement to my whole team. So maybe we just took on a new client. So new client alert, which is something pretty exciting. So I would title it, and then Basecamp gives me the tools where I can then create my alert. So I could say, hey team, we just took on a new client, XYZ. Be expecting updates today. And then I'll go in and update each project with those new client alert details. And so then what I think is really cool, you can save this as a draft if you wanted to come back to it later, or you can go ahead and post this message. You can also change who sees this message. So maybe for some reason you don't want Emma, our intern, to know that we just got a new client. So I can check that box. I can check and uncheck it. So I'll uncheck her, but then I want everybody else to know that we got a new client. So I'll hit save changes. And then as soon as I hit post this message, I'd be able to alert all of those people that are listed right here. So Jordan, Lewis, Megan, Quinn, and Zane, that we just got a new client. So I would just hit post message. Another fun thing is maybe you're using this message board for something different, like an FYI. So perhaps you're alerting everybody like our new HR policies or policy has been updated or something. And then you can actually attach things. So I could go in and click the little paper clip, and then I could find, my HR policy. It's right here. And then I can upload that and it'll be right there in the memo. So it's a fun tool. I like to use it just to make like company-wide or team-wide announcements. I think it's a wonderful way to do that. You can also ask a question to everybody. So maybe you wanted to ask a question like, how is everyone today? And then you could just type a little subtopic up under there. So then as soon as you post this, those people get alerted, and then they can respond back and forth directly on that question that you've asked them. So the third tool is to-dos. So this one will go a little bit more down the rabbit hole on, because I think it's one of the most important subject areas for Basecamp. So to-dos, you make a list of work that needs to get done, assign items, set due dates, and discuss. So I'll show an example from Tabletop Stir Raleigh project and discuss client collaboration. So we'll go back to our homepage and then to our projects. So I'm going to go back down to the Stir Raleigh project. So I told you guys how on our Basecamp, I have it all organized. Here's my HQ, my different teams, photography, graphic design, social media, whatnot. But then the projects, just for me, how I like to best organize it is by client, because I just think that it helps me really stay much more organized. But you could organize it by like maybe new website or blog or different sections of your company, and what projects you're working on that way. So for us, I organize it by client. So I'm going to go down to our Stir Raleigh client. And then we're talking about these to-dos. So we're making a list of what needs to get done. So I'm going to show you guys what our current to-do list looks like. So you'll go over, now that we're in the project, you can see what people are involved in the project, but I'm going to pop over to to-dos. So I click on this and it expands all of our to-dos for this client. So think of it as, so for Stir, they're a restaurant in Raleigh. So we manage their social media. So I have a to-do list called April 2020 social media post. So I can click on this and you can see that this list has different subcategories that I can check off. So you'll see that one was already checked off. Jordan from our team, she's on our social media team, is assigned to create all the content that goes on social media for Stir. So I had her to-do list for Friday, April 10th. All of her social media posts for the next week were due to me. So she went ahead and checked that off. So you can see that that task is done. But now she has another task that's due Friday, April 17th, where her next round of social media posts will be done. Say I want to go in here and edit this task. So I can assign it to somebody different. So maybe I want to assign it to myself or somebody else on the team. So to Quinn. And then it allows me to notify them about this assignment. So what's pretty cool about this system is you can have every single notification come through as an email so you don't miss it. Or there's a notification system right up here where that little red dot is, where people can see that they have a notification. You can click on that, and I'll show you that in just a few. So I'm changing who I've assigned it to. And then I can also add, when Quinn is done with this assignment, I will have it pop up in my notification section for Kristen and for Jordan that she's finished this project. So it's a nice way, if you're like me, I'm a little bit not micromanaging at all, but I like to know when stuff gets done. So for me, it's really awesome because I can now know that when one of my team members completes a task, I get notified that it's been done and I can rest easy. And then I can also put that it doesn't have a due date, or maybe it runs for multiple days. Maybe it's going to run every single day from April 14th to April 18th. Or I can just click on a specific day, which is what we typically do. Most of our projects have like a hard due date. So I'm going to change this to be due on April 22nd now. And then I can add in notes. So maybe I want to say like, hey, Quinn, and I can tag her in it. Hey, Quinn, this week, let's focus on promoting Stir's to-go brunch options. And then I can even attach maybe a photo of one of those brunch options that I want her to push on social media that week. And then all I do is hit save changes and it will update that to-do list. So I'm just going to discard this so we don't mess up any of our teammates. So this is an example of one of the to-do list and all the different tasks that go under this to-do list to complete that project. And so we'll go back in. So you'll see that we have some other list in here. One of them is we have a weekly call with our Stir client. So I have weekly Stir agendas, and Jordan is also in charge of this. So she knows that she has an agenda due on the 17th and it's due by April 16th. And then I could go in here and edit it same kind of way. But another really cool feature is that you can actually, when you're setting up the project, so Stir Raleigh project, I have the client listed here and then also our teammates. So anytime that you're adding a client or somebody outside of your organization, it will call them the client and it will circle them in this yellow color right here. So what I've done is I went to add and remove people. And so you can see our tabletop team, there's myself, Jordan, and Quinn, who are some of our other social media managers on the project. But then, excuse me, I also have the general manager at Stir, and then also one of the other members of the Stir team, Townsend here. So how do I do that? So whenever I want to add people to the project, I click add people and add people from our team or add people as the client. So you would select the client and then all you really do is just type in their name. So say we're going to add in Chris Brett, just as an example. And then I would put in his email and I can add his title. So general manager of Stir restaurant. And then I can go ahead and add a personal note to the invitation. Hey, Chris, I want you to join our Basecamp project for Stir. And then I just hit send now. And so then Basecamp will send him an email asking him to set up an account and join this. And it's something totally free for them since my company is paying for this. Or you can even use the free Basecamp tool and add people this way. And it's going to be free for them as well. So I think that's something really neat. And it's been fantastic for us because we're able to interact with our clients on all these different to-dos. So as an example, you can, like, for instance, we have this Stir Feed the Fight. It's a project that we're working on with our client. And so when I set up the project, I made sure that the client could see this because I want to know, or I want them to know what we're working on the back end. And I also want to assign them tasks. So say I want to assign a task to my client. So we'll just say website draft due. And so I want to assign this to Townsend, who is one of my clients. So I just type his name, pops right up, and I can add him just like we went over how to add a to-do. So it will even tell you, just as a reminder, note the client will be able to see this to-do. So it's something really great if you're working on a project that involves the client. And I will show you a great example of a project that we did. It was a website with a client. It was the Bronze Turkey website is what we had called it. So the client was able to see all of our to-dos and then hear all the teammates on Tabletop. And so you can go back in and like create a to-do. So I'll tell you how to do this from scratch. So say I want the client to be able to see this. We're going to talk about first draft of website. And then I can add details and then add this list to my to-do section. And then what will pop up is all the sub tasks up under this to-do list. So now under first draft of website, I'll say content needed for first draft. And then I can assign it to the client if I wanted to, Deborah, and then also to somebody from my team, so Lewis. And then I can hit add to do after I've filled out when it's due and whatnot. So it's a really great function. I absolutely love the to-do section. I think that it helps to really keep you quite organized. And so we'll go ahead. I'm just going to delete this. This is another good example of how to delete a to-do. So you'll just click on the dot, dot, dot. And then you can edit it from here. You can archive it, put in the trash, or copy it and move it over somewhere else. So I'm just going to put this in the trash since we are done with that project. So I got a quick chat. 1 second. All right. Hang on just 1 second. Somebody is having some trouble getting into the class. So I just wanted to make sure that we're able to get them in real quick. I know Carol and Sherry, you're saying that Tanika Waddell can't get into the class. I'm not seeing a notification to let her in. So if you can tell her to try to log back in and then hopefully it'll pop up and then I can let her back in. That would be awesome. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so next up is the schedule element of Basecamp. So the schedule allows you to set important dates on a shared calendar. And then you can also subscribe to these events in your schedule on your Google Calendar, your iCalendar, or Outlook calendar. So I'm going to show you, we're going to pop back into that Stir Raleigh project so you can see what a schedule looks like. So we're going to go down, not in our HQ, not in the team section, but we're going to go down to projects and go down to Stir. Oh, I think somebody just joined. Hopefully that worked for you. All right, so now we're going back into the Stir Raleigh project. And like I said, we're going to look at this schedule aspect. So we'll go down and you'll see schedule. So you'll click on schedule. So I really think this looks nice. It shows you a calendar view of everything that you have going on just for this project. So I really like this. I know we're all very busy. We all have lots of different projects going on, and sometimes it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. So it's nice to organize it. I think of project management as buckets. So right now we're in the Stir Raleigh bucket, and I'm looking at the Stir Raleigh schedule. So for this client, I know right now it's the 14th. We have a bunch of different tasks that are due. So I had, for me, I have been working with somebody from the news on WRAL to submit some recipes and videos from our clients of like food and cocktails and things like that that are more virtual that people can watch. And so I've assigned this to myself, so I know that this is due today. And so say I've already done it, I can just check this little box that I'm done. And then we have for our client, he has to send a draft of the website to the team by today. So now I know that we have these 4 big tasks that I need to get done today for that client. And so I can now chat with them directly on Basecamp. I could, call them if I needed to, if it was very urgent. So it's a great way to look at what we have coming up. And then Heather is asking, can you see a master schedule so you know what is on your task for each client, or do you have to go to each client's schedule to see this? That is a great question. I typically just use it like for each client so I can see individually, but how you can see it all together, which thank you so much for asking. There is this URL up here. It says add the schedule to your Google Calendar. So what I would do, or your Outlook or iCalendar. So I would subscribe to all the schedules you want to see on like your phone calendar or on your main calendar. So you can just say, add the schedule to my Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, Outlook. So I'll click my Google Calendar and it walks you through how to add it to your main calendar that you typically use and subscribe to. So what I'll do for like projects that I'm working on is I'll add those calendars to my Google Calendar. That way I can see them all organized and I know what's coming up. That way I don't miss anything. So that's a great question. So back to the schedule. So we'll see on the 14th, I have these 4 tasks due. And then under each day that there's a task due, there's a little blue dot. So I can click on that. And so I know, okay, on Thursday, April 16th, we have an agenda due. And so it also gives you an option. You can, scroll even far out there. So like on August 13th, we don't have anything yet. Something else that's pretty cool. So maybe for Stir, let's say we're hosting an event for them. So it's like a menu tasting for our whole tabletop team. So we want to host this far out. We're going to host this on October the 3rd. So I can add an event right here. So I'm going to say I want to only have my team see this, but I'm going to call it menu tasting. And I can select if it's going to be all day or if it's going to start and stop at a certain time. So I'm going to say that it's actually going to start at 7:30 and we'll end it at 11 o'clock at night. And it's not going to repeat, or I could repeat it if I wanted to. And then I'm going to put that it's going to be sent to Quinn and Jordan from my team. And then I'll add a note. Hey team, Stir would like us to do a menu tasting with them. And then I can post this event and it notifies those 2 people. So I really like this tool because say for instance, you just have an event coming up that you want to add to the calendar. You can easily do it this way. And then it notifies everybody that it's come up. And it's not really a to-do. It's more just for people to know that you have an event coming up. So the schedule tool is really powerful. And I love that it integrates with your Google Calendar, Outlook, or iCalendar. So for me, I'm a big Google user. So I have all of these integrated with my Google Calendar and it helps me to keep track of everything. And Sherry did just put in the chat, by the way, all of the upcoming classes. I know I couldn't remember what day we were talking about Slack, but it's all in there for all of you guys to reference. So now this is a pretty fun one. It's called automatic check-ins. So you can actually create recurring questions. So you don't have to pester your team about what's going on. So, and we're going to make sure if everybody can please mute themselves. I know that I'm hearing a little bit of feedback from somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure everybody is muted. Thank you. All right, so automatic check-ins. We're going to set one up. We're going to create an automatic check-in with the social media team. So you can create these check-ins on, company-wide, on your HQ, on your team, or even on a project. So keep that in mind that these tools can be used across your HQ, team, or project. So I'm going to create an automatic check-in with my team. So I'm going to go down to teams and then social media managers. I'll click on this, and now I'm going to create an automatic check-in. So I'm going to create this recurring question. So this is a really great tool. I haven't set an automatic check-in up yet for my social media management manager team. So Basecamp will actually give you just some feedback here. So Basecamp says, when would I use an automatic check-in? So some examples for this: to ask everyone what they've worked on today, to review what went well or poorly this month. I think that's a really great one. And then to see what everyone's week looks like coming up. So I'm going to create a new question. And since this is my social media team, I'm going to ask them, does anyone have questions about your social media content for the week? So our social media team, like I said earlier, develops fresh new content for all of our clients to post on like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and different things like that. So I'm going to ask this question every Monday. So you'll make sure you want to just select what day of the week. It's going to be highlighted in green. So I'm going to only ask it on Mondays. If I wanted to add more days of the week, I'd just simply push the button for whatever day. And then it's going to be daily on X date. I can set it, every other week on Friday, or once a month on the first Tuesday. So you can really kind of drill down and say how often you want to ask this automatic check-in. And then I can pick what time I want it to ask. So Basecamp already has some settings in here. The first one is I can ask this automatic check-in at the beginning of the day, so at 9 a.m., or I can ask it at the end of the day at 4:30. But say you don't like any of those times, you can simply click this button, let me pick a time, and then I can scroll down. I want to ask this at, let's say, on Monday morning at 8:30 in the morning. That way it gives everybody some time to answer that question. And then who do I want to ask this automatic check-in once a month on the first Tuesday, since I have that selected at 8:30. So I don't want our intern to see this because she's not working on these projects. I don't want Megan to see this, or Zane. So these are the only people I want to ask. Or maybe I want to select all of them. I can hit select all up here or deselect all. And then I can hit this button, start collecting answers. And now what Basecamp will do is under automatic check-ins, it will pop up that there's a new automatic check-in, and then the team can go back and forth and answer that question. So it's a fun feature. Definitely helps to keep you in line and not really pestering people with like a weekly email that you send out. You simply just do it through your project management system. So docs and files. So this is number 6. I really want to go over this. I think this is a very powerful tool that's built into Basecamp. So you can share documents, files, images, and spreadsheets all on Basecamp. And you can also organize it into folders so they're easy to find. So I'm going to share you on our sales team section, and then you can see how our documents and files are organized on Basecamp. So we're going to go back to the home screen, and then we're going to scroll down to teams and then sales. So right now I have a director of sales at Tabletop, and we have different to-dos. You can see the campfire where we're chatting back and forth, schedule, and then the automatic check-ins. But so now I'm going to click on docs and files so you can see this one. So right now we have it organized. You can see this is a folder where it says Chelsea's Cafe. So if I were to click on this folder, it would take me now to Chelsea's Cafe, and then it has all of their different documents in here. So for sales, I know like for us, it was definitely a nightmare getting everything all organized when it was just me managing it. So now we have it clearly organized into Basecamp. It's a private folder between me and just my director of sales. And so I have all of our contracts that are signed with the client, just different documents that I need easy access to. Then if I just wanted to add a new document, we're going to go over how to do that. So I'll click new, and I can actually start a new document on Basecamp. So say, for instance, I just want to have this be like a template, or let's call it phone template for how to sell a client. I don't know. I'm just coming up with an example here. So I can title it, and then I can type, my template example right here. I can do all sorts of things like I could do in like a Microsoft Word or Google Doc. I can bold things. I can italicize. I can add a website URL if I wanted to. I can underline things. I can make the text larger, smaller. And then I can also add in, images or other documents into here if I wanted to. And then as soon as I want to post this, I'll hit let me choose who to notify. And I want to notify Corey. She's our director of sales. And I can just hit save changes. Or when I post this, don't notify anybody. So then now I'm going to go ahead and just post this doc so you guys can see what it looks like. So now when I go back into sales and then I click into docs and files, I'm going to click into this new document that I created, which is phone template for how to sell a client. And so now I can see, here's my document, and I can actually have a discussion back and forth on this document with my team. So maybe I need to ask Corey a question. What do you think of this template? And then I can add this comment, and it will send her a notification that she has a ping on Basecamp on a document. So it's a really cool tool. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this, put in the trash. And then I will let you know how you can upload a file into this docs and files section. So maybe I want to make a new folder, and I'm just going to call this example 1. So example 1, we're going to include all sorts of Word docs in here, just as an example. So what I would do is I go to docs and files, I make a new folder, make a new folder, I title it, and then it appears as a new folder now under my docs and files. So I'm going to click example 1, and then this folder is empty. So what you need to do is upload a file or start a new document. So I'm going to upload a file. So maybe I've created something on my computer. So I'm going to upload all of these different photos and Word docs that I have in here. And I'm going to open. And then now it will upload all of these photos that I have and Word documents, and I can add notes to each one. So I'll just type XYZ as an example. I can add a little note if I needed to on that document. And then when I post, I can choose not to notify anybody, or I can choose to notify whoever is on that team. And then I would post it to the project. So I'm just going to do this as an example. So now you can see we have all of these different photos and documents uploaded into example 1 folder. So if I want to go back into my docs and files, you'll now see it under example 1. So a really great way to just keep things organized on here. So say, for instance, I know we talked a lot last week on Google Suite. So say I'm using Google Docs, which is what my team uses. So if I want to integrate Google Docs into here, it's pretty easy. So I'm going to create under example 1, I want to add a Google Doc that I have. So what I would do is go into my Google Suite. So I'm going to pull up a Google Doc that I was just working on with one of the ladies from my team. So I'm going to click on this doc. And then what you have to do is go to the section where you hit new and then hit Google Drive. And so what it will do is it'll ask you to paste the Google Drive link here. So I have my Google Doc open. So all I have to do is click this link that's up here in my web browser. So I copy it, and then I'll go over here and paste it. And so then that will automatically link my, my Google Doc to Basecamp. So I'm going to title this as blog questions, and then it's a doc, And then I can add a note if I want to, choose to notify somebody. And then I hit post this. And so it will now, I'm not going to do it just because we'll be deleting this in just a second. But once I hit post, it will now have this as a Google Doc. So it'll look like this under that 2020 rates. You'll see it now as a Google Doc. And then I can click on that Google Doc, view on Google, and it will pull me right to that Google Doc. So it's a great way to definitely keep things organized. You can also add in Google Sheets if you want. So a really fun one. You can also link in things from like Dropbox, Box, and OneDrive. So I know later on in our session about doing business remotely, we'll also talk about Dropbox and Box. So those are other great tools, kind of like Google Drive, where you can store documents and images and things like that. And OneDrive is something similar as well. I have that on my home computer. So docs and files, a really wonderful way to help you keep it all organized. So say you want to delete something. I want to delete example 1. I don't need this anymore. I'll just put this into the trash. All right. So before we go into asking questions, I know I have a quick chat on there. Heather is asking, can you integrate this with Google Docs so you type it in one location and share it with the other? So I think I'm understanding you right when we just went over that, where you can add in those Google Docs. So let me know if that didn't answer it for you. But so I'll just give you an example about how it can pull open Google Docs. So I know under I'll click under the sales real quick. So say I want to edit the 2020 brainstorm. This is a Google Sheet. So I'm going to click on my Google Sheet. And now what it'll do when I click view on Google, it'll open up that sheet. And now I can go ahead and start making edits to it if I want. And this is where Corey just keeps track of who she's talked to, different clients. So I could edit it right there and it will automatically save it. And then anytime I want to reference it, I just go under the docs and files section and I can just easily access it. So it's another great way to just keep yourself all organized. And Heather said we got her question answered. So that's awesome. So now I did want to show, before we go into other questions, some of the top features here on Basecamp. So I know that we've talked a lot about the HQ section for company-wide announcements. This is what that looks like. Also, we talked a lot about teams, how you can keep things organized, and projects. But what about this top section? So say I want to know what I have due as Kristen. So there's a little smiley face that says my stuff. So I would click on this and there's a drop down that happens. So I usually use this section, my assignments, the most, I would say. I also use my schedule quite a bit, but my assignments really helps me to stay organized. So I'd click on my assignments and now it'll pop open everything that I have due with all the due dates. So if you're a big checklist person like me, you're going to absolutely love this. So I know that I had an assignment from, let's see, my assignment with dates. So it'll say I have something overdue, that I needed to send some questions for Q&A to a client yesterday, and I have not done that yet. So I know that's overdue. I really need to make that a priority to get done today. I also need to finish my presentation that's coming up about Dropbox for Thursday. So I was supposed to finish that up yesterday, but I was putting the finishing touches on this one. So I know I have to get that done today. And then it also says what's due today, what's due tomorrow, and later this week, and next week, and due later. So it helps to keep you really organized. Sometimes I can print this out and I like to, physically check it off. I think that's kind of fun for me. You can also have Basecamp email your list to you every single Monday morning. So if that's clicked on, it'll have it as a check mark in orange that Basecamp will email you your list of everything you have to do. You can turn it off or on. And then what's also great as like the business owner or whoever your admin is you can see stuff you've assigned. So say I wanted to look at stuff I've assigned, or actually I think, sorry, I take that back. Anybody can see this. I'll show you the part that only I can see. But stuff you've assigned. So say I assigned Jordan something to do that's due, it was due yesterday. So it'll pop open here. I can see that she didn't send me her social media posts yet. So I need to quickly ping her, Jordan, what is the status on this? And then I can add that as a comment and it will send it to her and she'll know that she needs to get that done right away. So something else that's kind of neat, and that's under my stuff and then my assignments. So you can see what's on your plate, stuff that you've assigned, and have it emailed to you every morning. Then the part that I can see, since I'm the admin that I was mentioning, is under activity. So activity, since I'm the admin, I can see all of the latest activity that's going on Basecamp. So what my team did yesterday, what my team did on Sunday, and so on. But then I really like to look at someone's assignments. So I'll click on someone's assignments and say I want to look at what Quinn is working on for my team. So I'll scroll down. It has all of my clients organized and all my teammates. So you can see who's a client, who's a regular teammate on Tabletop. So I'm going to click on Quinn. So now I can see all of her assignments that are due. So I'm going to click over to just the ones with due dates. So she has one that's overdue, where she was going to also help me out sending questions for a Q&A that we're doing with a client. And then she has one thing that's due today, and then a couple things due tomorrow, later this week, and next week. So it's great because since I'm the owner of the company, I need to make sure everybody's completing their assignments in a timely manner. So I can always go over and just double check on my employees and make sure they're completing those assignments with those due dates. So a really fun tool. And then I can also see someone's activity as the admin. So maybe I want to see all of Quinn's activity. So I click on activity, I click on her name, and then it'll show me all of her activity broken down, what she completed and under what project. Then I can also see upcoming dates. So this would be for me, I can see everybody on my team. What are upcoming dates for everybody? So I know on April 14th, we have all of these different tasks going on at the company that I need to make sure are completed. Here it is for the 15th and so on. So that's a fun tool that's under activity. I really like using this tool, and it also emails me a daily summary, which I can turn on and off, similar to what I just showed you earlier. But I like to get this emailed every day because Basecamp will boil it down and say, Quinn completed these tasks, Lewis completed these tasks, Jordan, and so on. So it helps me to stay in line as the business owner. And then we're going to go over to the Hey section, which is essentially your inbox. So you can see that all the things with this little dot are things that I have not looked at yet. So I obviously I've been on this webinar, so I've missed a few things that have been happening. So one of them is a campfire, which we discussed, Tabletop Talk blog. So I'm going to click on this. Jordan had sent a message back when I was testing it earlier. So Quinn said hello and Jordan said hi. So I'm going to say thanks, Quinn and Jordan, for messaging me back for my webinar. And so that way they know I've responded to them. So that's pretty cool. It's under that Hey function. It lets you know what has been happening, kind of just like getting an app notification or like a text notification. And so then it will also remind you when things are due soon. So I have due soon, which is today. I'm going to open this up. I have a cocktail recipe that's due to somebody from WRAL. So I know that's due today. I need to go ahead and get that done. And then it will also notify you if somebody has changed a due date. So Quinn changed a due date of one of the tasks that I had assigned her. And then it will also tell me when things are completed that I've asked to notify me. So I know I told you guys I like to know when all the social media posts are due. So I've assigned it to my social media manager. And then when it's done, they notify me. So since Lewis checked that box off, it sent me that notification that she's completed those social media posts. And I can open up that task if I want to and see that it's checked off. And I can thank her, thanks for a great job, Lewis, and I can tag her in it and then add the comment. So another fun way that you can just engage with your team. So that's the Hey section. And then the ping is a cool function similar to the Google Meet and Hangout that we were talking about. So I can ping people individually. So say I'm going to start a private chat with Quinn. So what I do is I do the @ symbol, or I'm sorry, not on here. I just click my cursor and then I go down, to Quinn's name. and then I can ping them is what they call it. So I'm just going to say testing 1, 2, 3. And so I'll ping her. And then now it's just a private chat between us. So testing 1, 2, 3. So now she can see that I've created a little chat, and then hopefully, she could get back to me pretty quick if I needed something kind of urgently or whatnot. I could also say urgent, please respond or whatnot, and she'll get that little notification that I've chatted with her on Basecamp. And so I can also open up all of my recent pings. So you can see Jordan and I were chatting on October 25th is the last time that we've pinged with each other. Most of the time, our team every team is different, but our team, we usually just chat on the to-do, which I think is really helpful because it keeps it organized. But then also we'll use other tools like Google Meet or whatnot. But pings are really great, especially like if you're pinging with a client. So Hannah Hiller and Scott Rogers, these were clients where we pinged back and forth about different projects we were working on. So you can scroll up and see the entire history of that private chat as well if you needed to refer back to something. So the ping section is really great too. So maybe you're kind of lost and you're like, where did I put that document or whatnot? So you can click that find tool, which is another button. So I'm going to look up commission, or I'm sorry, let's look up sales. So sales, it pops up, it shows me the project that's coming up, different search results, and all sorts of things. So there we go. I was looking for that project, and now I'll click on it and it takes me right there. So find is really helpful if you can't remember where you put something, or you are wanting to search something. Maybe you remember talking about it in a ping and you wanted to look up chef in a ping. There it is right there. And it will pop open that ping and I'm able to view it right there. And then obviously the home button, which we've been to quite a bit, is right here on the far left, home. And then you can also quickly jump to a project when you click on the home button. So say I wanted to go down to the stir project, I type that in and now it just pops open stir Raleigh. So I could click on that and open that whole project up. So really helpful. And then Melissa just had a question. Does the client have to download the app to chat, view, etc.? Do they log in from a browser? So that's a great question. Basecamp has obviously we're on the browser. And so they can use the browser, but it also has a mobile app. So I have an Android device. I know they have it for Apple as well. But so you would just download, it's called Basecamp 3 because it's the third iteration of Basecamp. But it's just an easy app and it also notifies you through the app whenever you have a ping. And so I have it saved. I'll pull it up and show it in my screen for you. It looks pretty similar as the web browser. So I love having it on my phone and on my desktop. And yes, they do need to download that app or just use the web browser to chat back and forth with you. And they will have to set up an account, but it takes literally like a couple seconds to set it up. I know a lot of our clients use it with us. And so it's very self-explanatory. Once you get that email from Basecamp, you just sign right up and it'll take you immediately to that project. And so what's really also kind of cool about Basecamp is that from the client viewpoint, they would not see everything here. So they would only see their project. So say like going back to stir as the example, they would only see the project stir. So they would not see all of this other stuff that I see as the admin. So that's something kind of interesting. And then Melissa said, do you find that clients have a hard time wanting to use this tool or wanting, to get used to it? Actually, I've found completely opposite. A lot of our clients are like, oh my gosh, this is such a great tool. I wish I would have known about this for my business. So I've had a lot of people just really interested in this tool. And I think it just helps to keep people organized because I can assign clients a to-do and it will also, unless they have the setting turned off, it will also email them every time I add them to a task. So it'll send them an email notifying them that they have a notification in Basecamp, and then they can click into Basecamp and see all the different tasks that I've notified them to do or whatnot. So I really have found kind of opposite Melissa to answer your question, where a lot of folks are really liking to do this. And I find it really helpful for like a large project. Like I know we talked about that bronze turkey website project. That was a huge project. And we had a lot of content that we needed from the client. We had a lot of stuff that we needed them to upload. And so like I'm going back into the Bronze Turkey website and to docs and files, and you can see that like they added live turkey photos. They organized it and put all the photos up under it that they needed to go on the website, or cooked turkey photos. And so you can see all the pretty photos that they added into there that our team could use on their website. So I found it really helpful. And it also like gave me all the project activity updates. So I could see like when our client uploaded the final copy for the website or whatnot. So I did find it quite helpful for a project like that. So awesome. Well, that I know I'm a couple minutes over. Definitely wanted to see if you guys have any questions. I know that's a lot. It's definitely a new system. But I would love if you have questions, feel free to pop them into the chat and I can take a look at that. I would say, just to preface this, project management tools, it's definitely what works best for you. I find that my brain and just what I like, it really has just like sucked into Basecamp. I just love Basecamp. I always have enjoyed using it since I actually started using it first with a client when I was a freelancer. They added me to the project. And so I really enjoyed it there. And just find what works best for you though. If Basecamp isn't for you, try to see if maybe Trello is or another type of system. So awesome. And Robert had a question that he wasn't able to participate in the G Suite webinar. And is there a possibility to get a copy of the presentation? So that's a great question, Robert. So we actually do have, and Sherry can send it out to you guys. We have links to all of our past presentations. So it has all of the slides and then all of the recordings. So every webinar is recorded. And so I've just been uploading them to a Google Drive folder and Sherry's been sending it out. So we would be happy to send you any past presentations and also this presentation if you want to refer back to it. Well, I hope you guys learned a good amount about project management tools. And I know we did quite a deep dive into Basecamp, but certainly test out some of these systems. You can get the free versions. Like I mentioned, a lot of them have free versions. So feel free to download those and just play around with it and see what works best for you. I always recommend just, adding like one other person or two people from your team and having them test it with you and just asking them, like, does this workflow work well for you? Do you like how this looks or whatnot? And I think that it'll help you to stay quite organized and hopefully this helps you out in your business. So thank you, everybody. If you have other questions, I'm going to pop open the last slide here where it has all of our information again. So if you want to jot that down, you can, or just wait for Sherry to email it to everybody. So thank you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and just let me know if you need anything.